shall grant a single boon, but should he lose...
Banished. Yes. Understood.
Don't want to get banished. Greetings and welcome back, consciousness. I'm Garrett. I've been awake for too long. It's up till 2 a.m. last night when all was said and done. Here with my buddy that kept me up way too late, like an enabling nerd friend that just keeps saying one more game when you're trying to play Smash Brothers, but you're like, I'm done. I've beaten you enough times, or maybe you've beaten me enough times, and they're like, no, you just gotta go. You just gotta go one more time. That person, that enabler, that reason for my lack of sleep. Kyle Ferguson is here.
I feel like I'm a special guest on my own show. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. I mean, it is kind of nefarious as I am Pacific Coast and, had 3 hours on you last night for our...
We did our best, man. We tried. We started early.
Yeah.
We did our best. We did our best. Oh, but yeah. We did a big mega stream yesterday on our main YouTube channel. Because over in our ongoing game project of Final Fantasy XIV, we finished Stormblood yesterday and entered Shadowbringers. We are into the second to most current expansion. And it was about a 9-hour stream, all said and done.
There's streamers who do that every day. Congrats on your resilience. It's not practice, right? It's not a practice thing that we do all the time. So it was busy. It was a crazy ride. Certainly the biggest stream I've ever done by huge amounts.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, it was not even close to anything I've ever been on it. Like, dude, we streamed from BlizzCon and it's like, no one cared.
No, I think I got to 400 people streaming live from the show floor with the, their rig and their setup and, even like launcher announcements for that. Granted, there's a lot going on. There was a lot of streams going on. I believe I was sitting next to Kendrick at the time too, who was streaming. Like, it was busy. It was busy.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was wild last night, man. Had just like poor Katie just trying to sleep, and I'm just like going off about how awesome everything was, and I was like, there's something about finding new success when you're doing something for over a decade.
Sure. Yeah.
We started making stuff together in 2010 and yeah, the new YouTube stuff is just it's just popping off, and it's super humbling, and I still am like, there are times where like when I'm in it with you, it's just like I'm just hanging out with my friend and thousands of our closest friends on the internet, where it's like in the process of doing it, it's like, yeah, just go and do my thing. Let's play some games, hang out with my buddy, talk to chat. But then like, I don't know, there's moments afterwards where I'm just like, holy crap, I can't believe how many people showed up for that. There's a dissonance that happens that I become aware of, and it freaks me out a little bit in a good way. But yeah, it's nutty.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing about it is it's a project that we've done before in many ways. Like, we did edited dungeon runs for YouTube for, what was that? That was a Legion. We had a whole sort of YouTube project going on there where we were recording. We had a full 5-stack. We would go in, we would stream, Kristen and I did old dungeon review kind of streams where we would do two gnome, actually. We would two gnome dungeons. We'd get like 2 levels ahead of, dead mines and stuff, and then solo it, as it were, like,
yeah,
together. So duo it. A lot of what we do on Grinding Gear has been done for World of Warcraft or in other ways through various YouTube projects. So it's fun to see those same ideas that I did think were good and really enjoyed making catch some wave.
Yeah, it's awesome. This is also the longest we've stuck with anything like that. On top of that, too,
It's
We've been really
encouraging.
consistent
There's
about it.
encouragement for the project, right? Like,
Yes,
that's kind of how it
yes.
goes.
Yeah, we've been doing 2 streams a week, not counting the podcast stream, and the odd bonus stream here and there. Every Monday, every Thursday, video release every Wednesday, and now podcast every Thursday. Usually we moved this week. So yeah, it's been nuts. It's such a cool project. I've been having so much fun, man. I don't know, like to be like to level with you. There was a moment where I was kind of feeling like my content game was over. Those thoughts entered my mind at times, like, oh, I've been at this a long time. Maybe it's time for something new. I didn't know what that was, but I was doing a lot of soul searching the last couple of years, and boy, y'all made me so hungry. Like, all I want to do is work on the YouTube stuff now. It's like I just want to throw myself into it. I want to find ways to find more time for it because I'm just having such a good time with it.
YouTube also enables that quite a bit more than Twitch. I find a lot of Twitch's practices predatory. Their achievement list instead of stats. Their congrats, you did it. Kind of like fireworks they have go off in your launcher, your sort of studio, I think they call it. A lot of it is based around getting you to stream raw hours rather than actually marketing yourself and exploring how to improve your product. And YouTube gives you those tools. Now, of course, YouTube has its own issues, and many of us have become more aware of that in the last year. But YouTube wants you to succeed, whereas Twitch doesn't really need you. And so you kind of feel like you get lost in the crowd. And so it's been very rewarding to head over that direction. I have no doubt about that, man. There were a lot of shows that you have recently put to bed. And of course, this show was birthed from the ashes. Maybe a little aggressive, but I like the Phoenix analogy.
That's exactly how I would describe it. I don't think it's aggressive at all. I think it's a little accurate. That's what I think. Yeah, it's just there's a lot going on. You do something for long enough, and yeah, it takes different forms and whatnot. But I still consider everything we're doing as an extension of what we started doing with our StarCraft podcast back in 2010. Because working with you, it doesn't feel all that different. It's more time consuming because we're video editing.
Yeah, editing video takes so much more time.
Oh yeah, 100%. But dude, yeah, in a weird way, it's like I was barely of legal drinking age when we started doing this, and now I'm in my 30s, and it's just like, well, kind of feels the same.
I often think of that interview we did with DJ Wheat back in the StarCast days. He said 10 years that he had to grind it out, wasn't it Justin TV, right? That he was doing shows on, like
way back when.
Yeah, like esports coverage talk shows with, that webcam that was available in 2010 or so. He was having at it, and he was even telling us on that show, 10 years, you got to put in your 10 years. Granted, for us, in this department, 12, but still very exciting stuff. And it's great to, have this show to talk about games in general. It's healthy. I like lots of different games. I like talking about lots of different games. I like talking about about shows, which you may have heard a clip at the top of the show about what we might be doing for our patron special episode this week.
Yeah. I do kind of want to get a spoiler-free gut check from you at the top of the show, but we did both watch the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power. We are recording this on Friday, so it's a little weird because a new episode came out today, but we haven't had a chance to watch it. Yeah, we're gonna have a off-the-cuff conversation after the show that we'll put up for our patrons over at supportourbromance.com. That will be spoilerific. But yeah, man, I mean, it's you and I have been known to enjoy fantasy-themed fiction from time to time. It's a mild interest of ours. So this has some. This was mildly on radars,
right?
To say the least.
Yes.
So yeah, no, like without getting into specifics, I just like the smell test. How did you like it or did you not, Kyle?
Okay. I'm really bad at this. I'm bad at being judging spoiler free because my spoiler free is different than other people's. Am I allowed to say there was 2 episodes I watched? I didn't say had to watch. I did say watched. Am I able to address which episode is which?
You can say you watched the first episode and the second episode, and you could say if you liked one and didn't like the other.
Okay,
That's
cool.
fine.
Yeah, the first episode was like watching 5 Marvel movies start very poorly. I think of all, it's like if I took the first 10 minutes of every single Wolverine movie that was ever made and had to watch just the introduction. And one of them was good. Only one of them. The second episode actually had things happen in it. And I enjoyed that. I found myself putting away like Slay the Spire on the main screen, being like, oh, what's this? Oh, am I watching this?
I like they were so put off by the first one. You're like, I'm gonna play a game while I watch the
Yeah,
second one.
I am not a second monitor kind of guy. When I do things, I do them and I invest. You know, I enjoy sitting by the window at night with a small candle, and that's it. Like you just sit there and enjoy the silence in a D&D book. I'm very, I'm very kind of setup-y in that way. I like building little forts, nesting, some call it like really kind of, yeah, getting set up. This is my night. But I was not prepared to enter episode 2 with that sort of focus and energy. And I found myself enjoying it.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, I wasn't as down on episode 1 as you were, but I wasn't over the moon with it. I was over the moon with the production. I think it's the most beautiful show I've maybe ever seen. Like I'm trying to think of other live action shows, and I struggle to think of one right now that looks better than this show.
You're more in the TV sphere, so I get that.
It is a TV show,
right? It's like people who play, mobile games.
Yeah.
You have a perspective, and when a good mobile game comes out, you go, "Oh, this is good," and then you tell your PC friends or your console friends, and they go, "Ah, this is crap," and throw it in the trash, and they just hit stuff insulting how awful it is or how predatory it is, and they're like, "This is good. This is like above par for the course." So I hate camera 1, camera 2. There's like a beautiful vista, and then your face for there's like the next.
It's like everyone does it. Literally everyone.
Go watch good movies. I know everyone does it. That doesn't make it excusable. Go watch.
It happens in Lord of the Rings. I can think of Aragorn and what's her face talking in Elvish in the forest.
You're bringing up the most boring part of Lord of the Rings. So
it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm right. That's all that matters.
There is momentum that can be carried. Walk up the hill while you talk, like people do. Do you? Unless you're fighting, unless you are having an active couples battle in a grocery store or something, there is a rare time when you stop moving when you have stuff to do. And walking up a hill, it's different when like Frodo's falling down exhausted. Like then we need to stop because there's a reason to stop the camera.
I can think of so many times in the Lord of the Rings trilogy where they are talking and not moving.
I know. That has to do with delivery. That is, better actors.
Yeah,
perhaps.
No, it's okay. I've now figured it out. I now know why you don't like almost anything, and it's because
it's cheaply produced.
You are turned off by a common camera tactic that is in everything.
Yeah, well, it's cheaply produced. It's cut this down. However many episodes you got, make it half.
Kyle, our YouTube videos are cheaply produced.
It's true. I'm aware. Like I was
humans can accomplish on a budget.
I was aware of the, like watching the very first scene. I was like, oh yeah, they did this so they could screw up their lines just like we do on on our videos. Like, even like Galadriel could be holding a sign up to her brother and being like, hey, read off this. Like, it's cheap to produce. I get it. But I'm not gonna like go on Twitter and be like, wow. I'm so blown away, everybody. I've never seen anything like this before. Because I have. Rogue One, just endless movies do this. Just keep it going. Do stuff. Show me things. Now I'm
gaining. Brought up science fiction. I'm like, Kyle, you traveled by ship. You can't what are you gonna do? Just take laps around the bridge?
I'm gaining energy.
Movement. Have you Kyle only likes medical dramas where they can walk around hallways nonstop.
I was gonna go with West Wing, but yes, like
Aaron Sorkin. Okay,
hallway energy.
Aaron Sorkin or bust. That Kyle wants to walk and talk or get out of here.
It's showing me something. It's showing momentum. It's laying out the world. Now I'll start to get into. So let's move on. We'll keep the We'll keep the spoiler in the spoiler episode we're doing.
Flaming it here and agree that I do like a walk and talk. I don't care that it's an overused thing that's easily made fun of. I enjoy the walk and talk.
Yeah. So
yeah,
has its issue, but man, I understand cheap production.
Anyway, I didn't think the first episode was amazing or anything. I liked it well enough. And you know me, I can forgive a lot if I think you put in enough effort in how things look, and I think they definitely put enough effort into how things look in this show. So I just enjoyed looking at the first episode, even though I will admit I was bored. It jumped around a little too much. I would have liked something a little more akin to like Game of Thrones did it smart with that first episode. They focus on Winterfell and the Starks.
Oh my God.
And we don't need to jump around. Game of Thrones gradually expanded their world to the point where we, the audience, then got used to the fact that, all right, we're going to hop continents at a breakneck pace, and we're just going to expect you to keep up at this point. And even though I am familiar with Middle Earth, I'm not that familiar. I'm not that big of a Tolkien nut. I didn't read the books. I can't read Tolkien. I think it's boring. Sorry, nerds. Sorry.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The language is very flowery, and it is tough to digest for even a seasoned reader.
Yeah, which I wasn't when I tried getting into it. I've never been much of a reader until my adult life. But yeah, I can't do it. I can't get into Tolkien. I've tried so many times. I've tried so many, very, very many times, because I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy, man. It's probably second only to Star Wars for movies I've watched the most. I really the fight in Clerks 2. I don't hold with that. There does not exist people that love Star Wars and hate Lord of the Rings and vice versa. It's very normal to love both.
Oh, Clerks is a movie. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was a fight in Clerks too. I'm like, I don't remember that being an action film.
No.
It's been a long time.
Kevin Smith dialogue is two nerds fight about what's better, Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, and I'm just sitting there being like, this is humorous, but this is a really unrealistic fight.
You're doing like, you gotta see Clerks 2, man. The fight in it, it's unreal. You know, take whatever I've said about shit. The lawyer. The blind lawyer who fights with his useless friends.
Daredevil.
Whatever I've said about Daredevil. I hated how useless his friends were.
They're lawyers.
He's an insanely competent man surrounded by characters.
No, and the assistant, she's a really good investigator. She uncovers all kinds of shit that
Maybe
legitimately
in like
helps
episode
him.
3.
And then we've been over this. I'm not gonna. You're just wrong. It's okay. Daredevil's one of my favorite TV shows ever. Yeah, I'm with Mac in chat saying Foggy's fine, and yeah, okay. I'm not gonna super go to bat for Foggy. I think he is questionably helpful at best. But everyone else, I love his little cast of characters. He's got a healer, but she's an ER like medic. It's perfect. It's exactly what that character needs.
Oh, well, that's fair. You know, he's I don't remember much. I quit after episode 2, so I can only fight so far.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't like it. Why keep going?
Anyway.
There's this beautiful Zen thing called don't watch and play things you don't already like. Like it's being realized on YouTube now, which is just healthy. Like there's a lot of people who are starting to put together certain content creators like certain things. So when they review a game they don't like, that's now for laughs. Like you can put that in the laughs category. They're not being serious. They are aware. Hopefully they're aware they're playing a game that they don't actually like. You know, sometimes I understand in content creation, you put a week into a game and you go, well, crap, you know, let's make a video about it, even if I didn't like it. And
I love that. I really enjoy watching reviews from people that legitimately hate things. I do find that pretty amusing.
But that's the character. You go into them expecting that.
Yeah, I mean, I watch a ton. I personally watch a ton of Red Letter Media, and they just, if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't.
I've never watched anything they like. I don't think
Oh,
I've ever
really?
taught
You don't
like.
watch the review series, which is like almost exclusively things they like, because it's stuff they're revisiting on purpose. So it's kind of fun. But no, not half of the bag. They like plenty of movies. They always take the piss out of it, like no matter what. But they like plenty of movies. But yeah, I like those guys. They make. You want to talk about high effort YouTube content? Although, again, it's camera 1, camera 2, so Kyle will probably never watch another Red Letter Media ever again.
No, it's about when there's beautiful fireworks in a forest and you cut it out so you can show me your face. I've seen too many times. I'm aware of what you look like. Show the set. Honestly, I think you just talk too long is all that's wrong. You know, I've got no problem with us seeing some faces. You just talk too much.
I mean, if you want to have a conversation on a future episode about things are too bloated and need to be shorter, I am with you.
Okay.
I am with you. The runtime is too damn long.
We're getting there, you know.
Most things.
A lot of things demand attention, and I think we need to go back to maybe not like 15 minutes like, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh was on Fox Kids, because they got to put 15 minutes of ads in there. But, you know, let's bring it down a little bit. Particularly when you made 4 different movies and then you cut them together to make a TV show.
There was a tweet that went viral, I think yesterday, that got a lot of people talking about how the original Men in Black is a 90-minute movie. And it just feels tight and expansive at the same time.
Now, wait a minute. Men in Black 2 is even shorter.
Wait, what? I don't like Men in Black 2.
I know. No, people do not. But I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna flatter the runtime here, Men in Black is an hour and 28 minutes. So it's technically even a tighter project.
Oh, so wait. So then what were they talking about?
Well, they're probably talking about Men in Black, which is also a pretty short movie.
Yeah, well, hour 20 minutes is... Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, sorry. I was thinking 120. That's 2 hours. Never mind. Ignore me. Yes. I'm not saying all short things are good. I'm just saying that good things can be short. We learned the wrong lesson from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Kyle.
No, well,
Lord of the Rings came out, was long because it needed to be, was wonderful, beautiful, a near perfect film experience, won all the Oscars, and then everyone else went, you want to take Harry Potter and cut that book in half and make 2 movies out of it? And you're just like, oh, no, don't do that. Stop it.
There are not good scenes in the extended edition. Like, there are straight up bad scenes they put back in. But we were already invested. And that's like a video game saying, hey, new exclusive levels. And like, the fish are now pink instead and they attack you. Like, you're like, okay, like, yeah, I get you made like a randomized something, or, this will keep me playing for a time.
Yeah.
And you're already happy because that's not the core game. That's not what you originally came for.
Well, nonetheless, somehow we got into this debate, and I haven't even said that I rather enjoyed the second episode of Rings of Power, and I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying the other fantasy show right now, which is House of the Dragon. But after the second episode of Rings of Power, I think I'm more invested in that show than House of the Dragon, and I am still enjoying House of the Dragon. So I quite liked the second episode.
How many episodes have you digested of the Game of Thrones show?
There's only been 3, and I've seen all 3.
Okay.
I think there's only been 3, maybe 4. I'm up to date. New episode comes out this Sunday. I've seen everything up to this point. There was some fun action in the most recent episode. I'm also just enjoying. There's a lot of dragons in House of the Dragon.
Hopefully,
which I'm rather enjoying.
Hopefully, one could. I've just been nose to the grindstone with computer troubles since last week. Like, that's been my big story,
dude. Yeah, man, you did. How long were you on stream for? You fired up what was supposed to just be a short test stream, and you went for hours, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. I ended up hiding it, so this is a super secret stream that only those who were present will ever see. Because I was flashing up, my system information. I think I did pretty well, but just in case, like my ISP, showed for a hot second. Just being safe in there. So it'll be in the ether. No one will ever know. What was the runtime on this guy? Okay, 2 hours and a half. So last week, in fact, 2 weeks ago, you may have heard the show, and it was deeply chaotic as we had lots and lots of starts to my internet. And we were all theorizing it was an overheat, like my computer was overheating. So I go into our Discord, we got fabulous people in there. And I post my stats. And everyone goes, oh, Kyle, what is this computer you're using? I was like, what? What's wrong? What's wrong with it? Coming from here is the Storm content creation, right? Where cores don't matter. And I have to run a second computer to even process the stream because it overloads CPU. It's an unoptimized game. Here's the Storm did not take advantage of GPU much at all. So I get on there, show it off my computer. I'm like, hey, anyone have any ideas here? What could be wrong? And the majority of answers at first were like, well, the build's 6 years old with 9-year-old parts. You know, it says here that your RAM and motherboard was invented in 2013. Your computer might be old. It's granted. All right. Well, let's see if we can fix this. So what we ended up deciding was that it was an overheat issue. So I grabbed my computer, I took it out to the living room, I put on some anime, I deconstructed the whole thing, got my little can of air, you know, and I was getting in there with my little computer safe wipes, you know, just a de-dusting.
You're
Fabulous
doing this
de-dusting.
on stream while the computer's running?
No, that's impossible. No, this was before. This was the before time. This was like Friday night.
All right. Gotcha.
That I'm doing all this.
Gotcha. Keep telling your story. I'll be right back. I gotta let the cat out. I closed the door and I locked Dexter in here. I'm so sorry.
I'll keep. Wait, then he won't know my story when he comes back. All right. Well, I'll give him a refresher. I'll just keep talking for you. So I de-dust the computer. It's beautiful. Runs 20 degrees cooler on the CPU. Like, damn. I replaced the thermal paste. You know, I got in there with my thermal paste. Not too much, because then you create, you know, insulation. Not too little, because then it doesn't work. So I got just the right amount of thermal paste in there. Got that all locked back in. Got my GPU. That went down 10 degrees. These are Celsius, by the way. So 10 degrees, you know, big jump. 20 degrees Celsius. Like, big jump down.
I did not know you had to get the thermal paste out. That's how you know things are serious.
Yeah. Well, you know, thermal paste was 6 years old, too, when I first applied it, when I, you know, made the computer. Built it myself. I like building my computers because I know what's inside of them. So still the issue happens. I get on stream Wednesday. You know, tomorrow, the next big day of the big stream, the 9-hour stream's gonna be going down. And just every time we're in Limsa, crash. And it's chaos. It's highly disruptive to telling a linear plot like doing an MSQ stream would be. So the chat was into it. Like, you know how you probably do this. I don't know a single person who doesn't like own a computer and doesn't become obsessed with a problem. Like, there's a puzzle that needs solving, and until it's solved, you cannot rest. You cannot sleep. And the chat was in on it. Like, I had 400 people all getting in on the mystery. And we were all like pulling up logs. We were pinging servers to see if it was the ping thing. We were going nuts. And finally, Mohid suggested we go in and check the error logs, and said PCI express port, blah, 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 which basically means Ethernet. And we go to the manufacturer of my motherboard, the 2013 motherboard, find a driver that was updated the day after I first had my stream issue. And a Windows update in July of this year, on the 13th, broke my motherboard driver. And we installed the new one. And all was good.
Dude.
So now I've got a squeaky clean computer, which is running great, sounds great, much calmer. I'm very happy for it. I'm glad it could calm down a little bit. But yeah, I need a new computer. Kind of bad. You know, going from content creation, here's the storm. Haven't had to move much in the last 7 years.
Yeah, mine's not nearly as old as yours, and I feel like I need a new computer. I did, however, in the last couple of years, swap to 2 4K monitors, which it's chugging. It's probably a poor decision on a 2080. But I had to wipe my computer this year. I don't just so many weird things were happening. Lots of crashes, lots of issues. I just ended up wiping the whole thing. Turned out one of my biggest like dump drive that I store all my work on was just failing. That was it.
Right.
When I finally replaced that, things were fine.
Sometimes it's the cable. Sometimes it's just the randomest crap. Like the most frustrating ones I've had in the past. Memory, I know what that looks like. Overheating CPU, I know what that looks like. Overheating GPU, that's why I was concerned about the heat. I thought it might be like a GPU thing, because when GPUs overheat, they kind of go, I can't take it anymore. And they take like half your processes and throw them out the window until they calm down. A CPU would just be like, I'm out. They slam the door on you. They shut down. They're just like, you know what? Screw you, dude. What are you trying to do to me? But GPUs apparently try really hard. That's why I thought it was an issue. Power supply issues are probably the most frustrating thing I've ever dealt with in the past. But
I don't think I've ever had one, knock
suck.
on wood.
They suck.
Props to. I always buy my computers from Doghouse Systems. Not sponsored, by the way. I pay for these, but I've never had an issue. I've never had hardware failure outside of. I've had an NVIDIA card fail once, but it was covered by NVIDIA, and they just sent me a new one. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Or well, I guess NVIDIA was covered by the manufacturer, which is EVGA. I've always had EVGA cards.
I hate GPUs so much. Oh my god. So it's been 6 years since I built a computer. And the numbers have changed dramatically. You know, I've got an NVIDIA 980 Ti, I think, off the top of my head.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude. Like, your reaction is everybody's reaction right now.
Oh my, you're not even in the tens?
Why would I be? I was doing Here's the Storm content. It literally did not matter. My computer did not care about my GPU.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god.
And I ran God of War. I played God of War 18 and captured it on the same computer. That footage I showed.
Your stream looks so good. Our stream looks so good because you run it.
Yeah. Because I'm amazing. Because I build good computers. They're highly efficient. I'm a good computer builder. Is what's going on. But you know, my shit is old. And the worst thing about trying to build a new computer is the number systems have changed. Like, do you remember buying a CPU? Well, yeah, maybe not, because you buy pre-built, but you know CPU numbers like 3.5. Yeah.
I have aided in building computers in the past. I helped build one for my brother once. You know, I've been there, but we did an AMD CPU for that.
Well, so in the past you had like a 2.2 Intel Pentium 2 or something like that. And you're like, ooh, 2.2. What a beautiful number. And then when I bought this thing, it was like 3.56. And I was like, ooh, that's bigger than 2.
Easy to quantify and understand.
Nowadays, everything is a 3.56. But it's got different families. It's literally like looking at a family tree. It's like trying to understand, you know, Game of Thrones freaking Wikipedia articles. Like, you're like, okay, so this was born in this generation, and it's actually the same stats, but it has express cores, which gives it 12 cores, but only four of those are express, 8 of those are real, but it has hyper-threading technology, which actually makes this 3.5 better than that 3.5. I hate it, and I hate everything they've done with GPUs. Which is, it's the same damn GPU, but everybody wants to put their fan on it. And they want to give it a bunch of fancy freaky names because they did, I've got 3 fans, so it's a extreme graphics exploder, but I've got 2 fans plus the wind tunnel. And I hate it. Like, I just want to buy like a 3060 Ti, just a, you know, nice family, you know, a good dog. You know, a nice family dog that's not going to get too angry. Got a little age on it. You know, I want to skip the puppy years. That's all I want. But it's so confusing shopping for parts now. It's changed so much over 6 years.
I'm kind of like hoping that we can both hold out until the new round of cards release.
That'd be nice.
Because it'd be cool to do a build series, like a joint build series. We both build computers. And
ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
like camera 1, camera 2.
This is just, I think, a little camera 1, camera 2, so that you would never watch it. Hey, listen, I'll do my build on a rolling cart so I can walk down hallways while I build.
Yes, please keep it exciting for me. Change locations.
I'll get a clamp tripod, put it on the front of I'll just mount a camera to the front of the cart. And we'll just move. I'll go on the treadmill. It'll be like an OK Go video. For those of you under the age of 35, OK Go was a band that used to make music videos that were really intricate.
Choreographed by his sister was kind of the word of the day.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So I got a new computer in my future. I'm hoping I can hold out too. Like, I'd really like to see prices drop a little bit, but honestly, there's a lot of really good parts available now because we went through the rush for NVIDIA to make cards when there was a deficit, and certainly during the crypto mining thing that happened. So now there's an abundance of cards, but they're still inflated based on the demand. So if we can get past that initial demand and into like a new generation, all those prices will fall, which will be really, really nice. I want to do DDR5, but it's so expensive right now. I want to make my computer update resilient. I want to do DDR5, but DDR4 is super, super solid. I think that's a 2017 or maybe even like 19 bit of hardware. So there's really good options.
Chat right now is calling for waiting on DDR5 because it's currently in short supply.
So I'm excited to enter the new era. Like I said, I ran God of War. I played it. It was beautiful. I recorded it on the same computer. But yeah, it was at 100 CPU usage and 100 GPU usage, the poor thing. But I played that whole game. It got a little toasty in here, but everything was fine.
Well, good to know that I won't understand a damn thing when I go to start shopping for my next computer, which will start shortly after new cards are available.
Tom's Hardware.
Tom's Hardware. Okay. Because I don't understand jack about CPUs either.
Dude, I say this like, remember, like I am not in the Twitterverse. Like I do not digest a lot of complaints from humanity. But Tom's Hardware, in my opinion, is this bastion that has existed forever. Like they're not trying to sell me any. I mean, they probably get kickbacks or something when they like do their best builds. But like Tom's Hardware has fixed so many of my issues over the years. And I feel like they're never trying to sell me anything. They want me to fix my computer, not buy something new. I love that website.
Dude, you can make good money with just banner ads. Like, and with the traffic I'm sure they get. I'm sure they're doing fine.
I haven't been to their news section either. Like maybe they are running, Kotaku level articles on their main page, but I do not know because I love Tom's Hardware.
Well, Kyle, now I want to tell you why two cars with the exact same horsepower are wildly different.
That's unfair. Like, let's standardize that.
Well, what wheels are getting powered? What location is the engine in? How does it make that power? Is it naturally aspirated or force induced?
You quantify that stuff in some sort of other format and change the name. This can't be that complicated. But maybe it's. Did you ever build Transformers like around kids, like as you were a child, like show off your Transformer?
Probably.
Okay, so I would bring my Transformer to school, and I'd show off its transformation, but I would do a bunch of useless hand gestures to confuse and make it look more complicated than it was to show off. Because, in the commercials, the kids were like building the Lego, castle. They would and it was done. So I figured that was really impressive. And if I did a bunch of random bullshit, I could create the illusion that this was a very skilled activity. And it worked. It worked on my fellow 10-year-olds.
I'm going to add this the next time we do Cringeworthy. Have you ever thought Transformers impressed anyone?
There's an age limit, there's an age limit.
Dude, I got picked on for everything in school. Everything. The only things that were accepted as cool until 8th grade were sports and skateboarding. And I was shit at all of them.
I was a trendsetter, but I didn't get any credit. Like, the popular kids would steal my idea. I wasn't responsible for tech decks in my school. I didn't care about tech decks, but I started a Duncan yo-yo craze.
I forgot about tech decks. I was into those.
I started oh my God, what's the other one? A Pogs. I was really into Pogs. I don't think I started Pogs. I was definitely responsible for the Duncan yo-yo
Pogs were wild. Pogs were wild.
I played for keeps. I was, I would throw down. Still a lot of Pogs. You
were always competitive.
Yeah, Foursquare.
Even with a game of complete random bullshit chance.
Mm-hmm. I was about the slammer. You had to slam it right.
I don't think I have my Pogs anymore. I recently found my Pokemon cards. One of these days we should go through those.
My decks suck. I like keeping my decks.
I barely ever played on it. I definitely don't have any decks sitting there, but I've got my collection.
I like going through them and just seeing how bad my past self's ideas were. There's no optimization. My Magic deck, I have a Magic deck in view behind me, and it probably sucks because, well, Magic the Gathering Arena is such a hyper focus. The new set came out. It's decent. The Magic the Gathering set is decent. They can't figure out what to do with green though. I hate it.
I think I might get into Magic when I'm done with school. I'm missing a card game in my life right now since I haven't been playing Hearthstone.
I think you came into Magic during the already dual colors kind of golden card.
I literally started playing at Gate Crash, which was guilds, so it was multicolored decks. And
that's what they've stuck with. They've determined that if you have, let's say, a Forest 5, which is a 6 mana cost card, that will be less good than a Forest Plains 4 because you required you to have 2 colors. So
you're walking into dangerous territory here with these proclamations. We're gonna get got by the Magic pros.
I'm sorry, but it's true. Like it's true. It could have 2-mana artifact sucks. A 2-mana forest creature sucks, but a green combo plains is great, and I hate it. I just want to make a forest deck. I want my beasts to trample over your things and win. Is that so much to ask?
Apparently so.
Too much.
Apparently
man.
so.
Power creep, man. Power creep.
It's what you're gonna do. It's what you're gonna do. Well, you want to see what's in the news this week?
Let's.
Good. Oh, great news, everyone. Shove it.
All right, Kyle. I'll give you an option. I'll give you an option because we got other stuff to talk about today. Do you want to talk about a new God of War Ragnarok gameplay footage trailer that shows off how Kratos can blend elements? And really, I only put it in here because I saw monsters I didn't recognize and I wanted to ask you about. Cyberpunk 2077 finally getting an expansion. Overwatch 2's new heroes being behind a battle pass. Or this Disney Dreamlight Valley game that I didn't know what it was until an hour before the show, and now I kind of want to buy it and play it.
The thing, man, it's doing well on Steam. It is apparently not a cash grab. Well, it might be. Eventually. There's no DLCs right now. I assume eventually you'll buy special castles and fountains and stuff. But yeah, it's taken over. That thing's weird.
I like heard it batted around a bit this week, but I never went digging to see what it is. And then because you were like, dude, this thing is like at the top of Steam. Have you seen this? Do you know anything about this? I went and looked it up and I was like, wait, this is like a pseudo like neighborhood building game. Like I love shit like that. Like I love The Sims. I love Stardew Valley. I love Animal Crossing. Like I don't know how close to any of those this is, but it sounds like it could fall into any of those categories. I think it's what, $30 for early access on this thing. It's kind of piqued my interest.
It's been most compared to Stardew Valley, where you enter. I think.
It's on Game Pass. What?
Your royalty, you make like an avatar. You go mine. You go maybe do like mini adventures, but you're surrounded by Disney characters, and like Stardew Valley, you build rapport with them. I don't know if you date any, so I won't say relationships, but you build rapport with the various characters that live around you.
Hold on. Are you telling me I can romance Wally?
I do not know. I'm not aware of romance options. All I know is that you go around. It looks like you cook with Ratatouille. You build these houses. Maybe you increase your prestige in your neighborhood and decorate it. People love this stuff. If monsters aren't going to attack my kingdom, I don't care personally. But I see the appeal.
I'm just gonna, oh yeah, look at this. It's on the Microsoft Store. I have Game Pass. There's just a blue install button just staring at me, Kyle.
There you go.
Staring at me.
Report next week. Let me know how.
All right, from now on, I am just gonna come on the show to just shout up games I'm interested in so people can inform me if it's on Game Pass or not, because I'm far too lazy to go look and see what's new on Game Pass because there's too many games to look through.
You pay for Game Pass.
I do, but there's
regularly
too many
making it around there.
There's too many. It's just my Halo sub at this point. When I'm bored and want to play Halo, I just know I can play Halo. Like, there. That's it. That's why I have it. This sounds like a freaking ad for Game Pass, but there's legitimately too much crap on there.
Everybody
I have no
does.
idea. I have no idea how to stay on top of what new things are coming that are worth playing. So
maybe everybody does it isn't the right, excuse for you, but everybody does it. Everybody pumps up that Game Pass. People are nuts about it.
It's good. I'm scared. I'm waiting for it to take a turn, a dark turn like Netflix, but it hasn't happened yet.
Who's this raccoon? Oh, I guess that could be the Pocahontas raccoon.
There's a raccoon in Pocahontas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you on the Steam store right now?
It's stylized, so it looks like you go on adventures with not Elsa. Who's the other one? Who's the other princess?
Wait, princess or the other character from Frozen?
Oh no, she's a princess too. They're both princesses. Princess
Anna?
Anna. Yeah, Anna. Yeah, Anna.
Anna. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I know more about freaking Frozen than I thought I remembered. I finally went on that ride the last time I was at Epcot, by the way.
So bad.
I mean, the going backwards, changing track thing is still in there, which is still pretty cool. I got drenched though. I've never gotten so damn wet on a water ride at Disney before.
I don't like the projected animation faces. I like
they're not great.
No.
not great, but
It's a cute
it's an
trick.
okay ride.
But I like the trolls down the falls. Yeah, I like the old trolls. Like, I guess did you like ride up towards the Eye of Odin? Maybe I'm not really sure. It's been a well, it's not even in existence anymore. But
Well, yeah,
and you ended up by the oil rigs, and you went and watched the little movie,
like you do. Like you do. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna try this game. See what it's about. I like games like that. I like chill games. I need chill games in my life.
Defend your castle against Scar's invasion. Ursula's on the attack. Unleash your greatest heroes.
Is that actually in the game?
No, you do not get attacked. That's
what you wish would happen.
Yeah, there's no base defense. I don't even think there's like a dungeon you go do. That week dungeon from Stardew Valley doesn't exist.
Disney Infinity died for this.
Scrooge's store is kind of expensive, says one review. Oh, no. Digging mud is very boring, but very important, apparently. Donald Duck's voice was annoying, and I muted the game.
This is Donald Duck.
Donald Duck's endearing. Have you watched the new DuckTales show? There's
a little of it. I got distracted. It's very good.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Donald Duck was always like my favorite like classic Disney character. So
they do a lot of gags where like Donald Duck will be singing to himself, and it's this inside voice, and he has this beautiful singing voice. But then someone walks by and they hear him, Donald Ducking. And so when he starts like humming to himself, and it's hideous, like Daisy falls in love with it. So it's such a cute show. It's got a great linear. If you liked Gravity Falls, you'll like DuckTales.
I've only seen a few episodes of that too. We've been slowly making our way through Owl House, which I love. I'm absolutely in love with it.
I still need to check that out.
So imaginative and fun and beautiful. I love the style of it. I love the characters. It's got so much heart. That's kid shows. They have no right being that good. It's real good. It's real good. Anyway, I want to play this. I may come on the show next week and talk about Dreamlight Valley.
All right, if you do like 8 hours or something, Matt, that doesn't seem insane, but we're adults, so like if you put a chunk of time into it, I'll check it out. If it's on Game Pass, I can check it out too.
Sounds good. Did you look at the Ragnarok footage they put out, like with Kratos, blending his elemental attacks?
Just right now, so I'm just seeing that.
Okay.
He's got some frog beasts he's fighting, which new monsters, nice.
That's why I wanted to push it across the table towards you, because I know I think your biggest critique of God of War 2018 was that there was too many reused enemies.
Yeah, particularly the trolls.
Yeah, which as I'm like slowly going through, I'm noticing on my second playthrough.
You don't have to redo all of them. This isn't an MMO situation. Like for MMOs, I'm like, well, kind of update your skeletons. It's a new expansion. Let's see some new stuff. Mainly because a lot of MMOs have been like, let's go to another universe. And I'm like, there's still snails. Do something about this. But God of War games, action games, I've got no problem with humans being humans or you reusing models, because you should build on yourself in an action RPG. And this looks good. They're really showing off the frog beasts. But there's lots of running around. He's breaking various things. He's cycling between the axe and the blades, and it's solid enough. I don't think God of War outside. So what I want to do for Ragnarok, I want to play it on like a really hard difficulty, whatever's possible for me, so that the RPG elements matter. That was probably my biggest sadness, and my first playthrough here is because I wanted to see the story. Everyone was raving about the story. I wanted to get through it and enjoy it. And oftentimes when I play a game for story's sake, I do not mess with difficulty. But I would love to see those RPG elements shine and have a reason to farm. I didn't find like the Fire Worlds farm elements needed to complete my playthrough, and I didn't find them so fun that I was going to do it anyway. And I'm not going to go back and like get my Kratos really good armor, because I highly doubt that armor transitions to the expansion.
Expansion?
I mean, it used to be called an expansion. Now it's God of War Ragnarok 2, 2018. Expansion's the wrong word. It's not DLC. What? It's a sequel. It's a sequel.
Were you aware of the Valkyries?
Yeah.
In God of War 2018?
I know they're in there.
Okay.
But the really long elevator rides.
They're hard as shit.
They are,
like, especially on higher difficulties. So that I think is the reason why you would want to go gear up.
Right. I think you get like a special ending, you know, like maybe a story hint if you beat all the Valkyries.
Yeah, that was what was cool about it. Like when I played through that game, I didn't engage in anything. I knew nothing about it. So like I stumbled across my first one just naturally and just got my ass completely handed to me. And I was like, holy, what the hell is happening?
I played with the immersive HUD, so I didn't have any health bar or any map indicators. There was no spell recharges or anything like that. I really, really liked that was an option. It felt really good. I'm sure I was unoptimized because I probably didn't use all my abilities on cooldown. So I met my first Valkyrie and was like, what's going on? Turned back on the UI, saw that the health barely moved and was like, oh, this is one of those endurance tests. And I'm finding those with Dark Souls when it's part of your main story quest because you got to get through it. Like that's part of the challenge. This boss is an endurance test, like raids, you know, like raids in a lot of MMOs are often, hey, can you just not screw up this simple thing for 10 minutes? And you go, no, I can't. We can't do it. Like, 10 people together can't not screw this up for 10 minutes. It's hard. That's my least favorite kind of design, and I kind of felt that with the Valkyries, so I never really got involved in them.
Gotcha.
The Fire World did have some cute ideas. Like the first one was, I think, destroy all the enemies in the right amount of time, and then the second one was, can you just survive, or can you kill X amount of units in X amount of time? Like they varied that enough. It wasn't just repeating the same thing over and over. I just didn't need it.
The number one way for me to make me not care about your achievement or challenge is make it timed.
They're frustrating, the timed ones.
Like I outside of racing games, which makes sense, time challenges I think are just the laziest thing you can put in your game. We've got these things. Do them in an arbitrary time limit. Go.
The laziest.
You of all the things you could do to make it seem like there's more content in your game, adding time challenges I'm just like, ugh, I roll. I'm never going to 100% this game. I'm
trying to think of all the little blips on the map throughout every Assassin's Creed game I've played, and surely I've been more offended. But I can't think of one right now. Time challenges are bad. The stealth in old Assassin's Creed was also kind of bad too.
At least someone had to decide where to hide the feathers in the original Assassin's Creed. Like they had to look at their map and decide what's a clever place to put it. Instead of going, well, we already have these 20 feathers, but what if we arbitrarily limited how quickly you need to pick them up for a fail state?
I am over climbing. Like I just don't want to casually push a stick up a wall. I really, really liked. I won't talk about Prototype. I'll just continue to accept. I'm a weirdo. There's dozens of us.
I love it when you talk about Prototype, dude. Your eyes you're so wide. It's like you're talking about someone. It's like you're talking about your wife.
Well, I'll talk about Infamous instead. I think Infamous did it better because they actually caged it back further. But I don't mind climbing if it means someday I'll run, and I want to run up those walls. And obviously, like Assassin's Creed, you're not superhuman, you're just super skilled in the framework of the world. So there's never going to be a time where you're just like up that tower. So every time, you're 30 hours in the game, it's like, go climb the tower, Ezio. You're like, I don't want to. I'm done.
They made it a little faster in future games. And mercifully on the pirate one, there were so many because swashbuckling ropes you could grab and you cut the counterweight and you just zip up.
Oh, that's a cute idea. That's a good way to skip that.
Yeah, very, very swashbuckly. There was a lot of that in Black Flag. But yeah. No, that's a good point, man. I'm with you on that.
I don't know how you fix
the first Infamous, but I did beat it.
I think I like 2 better, but it also had that weird evil system. What is the last successful AAA game that did a good and evil system? Maybe the chat can help us out with that too, because I don't think we make them anymore. Granted, they were always kind of artificial. There was definitely, like KOTOR. Yeah, KOTOR is a great example of one, but sometimes it was just stealing candy from babies. Like you wanted.
Infamous 2 might be the most recent example of that because that was after Mass Effect 3.
Oh yeah, Mass Effect 3 might be the most modern one. Tyranny.
Well, Infamous 2 was after that.
Tyranny's a good answer. That is
I don't even know what Tyranny is.
Tyranny is like a Pillars of Eternity top-down Baldur's Gate RPG.
Well, don't most games like that have an alignment system?
Yeah, well, in Tyranny, by nature of its name, you were supposed to be tyrannical. So, like, it encouraged you to be evil, or, I've never beaten a Baldur's Gate style game because I have trouble controlling so many people at once. I hate pause systems in a lot of games. I don't mind it in Total War Warhammer, but that's an RTS. Undertale did have a morality system. Yeah, okay, you're right. Have you ever played Undertale, dude?
No.
It's good.
I've not played Undertale.
It was massively memed into the ground, but the music, the gimmicks, it is a really, really good game. Like, if you ever find yourself with a free, like, Christmas break, like, it doesn't get cold enough in Florida to, like, get cozy, I'm sure, but, like, it just, like, really kind of...
That is usually when I work on my back catalog is the holidays. Between Christmas and New Year's Day is usually where I pick up something new on the Steam holiday sale and try and beat it before all my clients want work again.
Yeah, what we did was we got our USB extender out. We hooked up the computer to the TV, and we just passed the keyboard back and forth on our laps. And like, you do this level, I'll do this level, you do this level, I'll do this level in Undertale. And we had an absolutely amazing time. We ended up buying a co-op game that same Christmas. It was Lovers in Deep Space, I think it was called. It's not like what it sounds like. It's more like Galactica, if you will. You're in a spaceship and you run around, you go pew 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 and shoot the things incoming on you. We ended up like never playing that. Lovers in Dangerous Space Time. We ended up never playing it, like played it twice and just got entirely absorbed with Undertale for the whole holiday.
That's high praise.
Yeah, it's a good game.
High praise.
Despite
I'll
the
look into it, man. I'll look into it. Do you want to take a quick break before we move on?
Sounds good.
We'll be right back. Realize that we keep talking Final Fantasy 14 and what we're playing, so I figured, Kyle, we were in need of a dedicated name for a Final Fantasy segment on the show. So, Kyle, I want to know, what's your Final Fantasy? Yes, it's time to talk Final Fantasy 14 on the show. I didn't try very hard on that intro. I hope everyone enjoys. Yes, the debut of our Final Fantasy segment on the Grinding Gear podcast.
That's already
What's
been
your
happening,
Final
but now it's
Fantasy?
official.
Yes, it's official. It's already been happening, but now it has a name. So I want to know, what's your Final Fantasy? Let's talk about it. Kyle, we had... in the notes, I just have Big Stream Holy F-Bomb. That's what I wrote in the notes this week.
An important note for sure.
Yeah, we made it to Shadowbringers, which if, and I know these listeners are out there. If you just kind of enjoy what our journey, but you're like not keeping up close, you don't know what the hell Final Fantasy 14, like anything about it. Shadowbringers is the third expansion for the Final Fantasy 14 MMO, and it's there's a lot of hype surrounding it in Final Fantasy 14 communities. Whenever streamers, YouTubers, content creators of any kind get anywhere near it, people get really excited. And we took our first steps into it last night. We finished Stormblood and we stepped into Shadowbringers. And holy shit. As we kind of talked about at the top of the show, like that stream was absolute fire. We've never had that many people watching us live ever for anything at all. We've even put on our own conference before, like, and this was like this usurped that by a lot,
Thousands,
a lot, yeah. So we made it. It's so strange to think, coming from World of Warcraft, that I'm coming up on a year from when I re-upped, like when I resubscribed, and you were like, just give it one more shot and I'll play it with you. We're coming up on a year. That happened. I was billed in late October, I believe. I went back and looked it up. I was like looking at my, like, when was I first charged for this? Late October is when I think purchased I don't know what it's called. It came with Shadowbringers, because I still don't own Endwalker, by the way. Whatever that purchase was, that's what I got. I saw that. It's late October, so we're coming up on a year of playing Final Fantasy. And I think it's so odd, coming from other MMOs, that I can be like, I'm halfway through the MMO a year later, and everyone's totally fine with it.
Yeah.
For the most part, there's a few people that are just like, keep going.
Sure.
But we're taking our time, and by the nature of the content that we're making, we don't want to go too fast because we don't want to go past the videos that we're editing. We only do one video a week. They range anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. They take a while to edit. So, yeah, it's, but like, I finally feel like I can finally say, like, I'm a Final Fantasy 14 player, like, which seems insane because we've been doing the content for a while. But like, now that we're in Shadowbringers, like, I feel like I have a really good handle on the type of game that I'm playing. And even though we're not quote unquote current, which is really important for, say, World of Warcraft, I don't think it is super important for a game like Final Fantasy 14 because Final Fantasy 14 has done such a good job keeping all of its content relevant really throughout, like, whatever point you're at. The only exception to that being you can't go and do stuff that's locked behind expansion specific stuff if you haven't gotten to or through that expansion yet. But like, we got to the end of Stormblood and we're like, let's take a break and let's go do the raids, even though you don't have to. It's not required. You don't have to go do the raids, but we did. And the game has set you up for that. It is built for that. It welcomes that. You can totally just say, I kind of want to see the side stuff before I move on to the next expansion. And that's exactly what we've been doing. And so even though we still have 2 expansions to go, oh God, man, I feel like we've consumed so much of this game. And I feel like I've got a really solid understanding of it now.
Well, we've also entered modern memory, right? This is a game that was released on July 2nd, 2019, Shadowbringers. So coming from 2017, 16 kind of memory sphere, and Shadowbringers being so many people's favorite expansion of the game, like, it's just fresher and often declared a favorite RPG story overall. Now, we stuck our toe in the door, which luckily got us to the first city, and we can kind of feel some of that update. It's not as dramatic as installing a World of Warcraft expansion, which is often like, plop, here's your new textures, Jaina looks different, Thrall looks different, like, well, welcome to the expansion, throw away all your gear, because here's gear. It's a very different kind of game. I think the best way to highlight why everything stays current is just that the currency stays the same. When you do things, you get a badge. That badge is the same throughout the whole game.
That's true, but we are getting more badges than most because we are raiding and whatnot too. So it's worth pointing out that we are like entering most expansions with previous expansions raid gear.
Yeah, top end,
so
whatever it may be.
that also is playing a bit of a role in that because we've been entering, like, it took me a while to replace gear in Stormblood because I was like decked out in some really good stuff from Heaven's Ward. On top of the fact that people like gift us stuff and we have absolute massive raging streamer privilege, but
I feel so bad about my apartment. I've got a lot of stuff.
The next time you're just vibing, man. Like, I don't think you find yourself in as many I'm just waiting for something to finish like I do. But like, man, I just go in there. It's my new idle thing. Like, if I'm idling at home, I just go and I mess around with my apartment in Final Fantasy.
I can't think that way. So there's an interesting comparison I once saw in a documentary, and it was about how we process numbers. And some people think of the words like TOW, and some people think of the number 2 when they kind of count to themselves. And some people count in their ears, if you will, like they're repeating it inside their head, where other people think visually and they see the numbers growing, and that's how they count silently to themselves. My point being, I can't do that. I can't go twist things and decorate. Like, I need proper focus. What I do end up doing when I'm on like a phone and, kind of leaning over and got my phone in my ear, is I end up doing jump puzzles that I said I'd never do. Because I'm the kind of guy that goes on a weird walk and hangs up and then ends up in the middle of nowhere without knowing it.
Yeah.
So, Final Fantasy jump puzzle. If you ever see me doing a jump puzzle, I don't like it. It's because I'm on the phone, and that's where I ended up. I started jumping against this wall to see what would happen.
In World of Warcraft, I would run circles around a fountain, or when we got flying, fly circles like the upside down loop.
Yeah, the old loop. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I would just
Absolutely.
like sit in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, depending on what faction I was playing at the time, and just like loop de loop while I was on a phone call or something, and just be like, "Why am I doing this? Why am I here?" It's just something I do, man. I probably spent like a month of in-game time just doing loop de loops in Stormwind.
Here, I'll show the chat where I ended up at the end of my last call I was on. They can enjoy that. Where I was like, now what the hell am I? Where am I? And what the hell was I supposed to be doing? But it's cool to enter into any sort of new sphere. You get to see the new zone. It's not as extreme, of course, being modern. I'm sure when you were way like, you were modern, this game came out, there was probably like a big changeover, a bunch of your abilities changed. That's perhaps the weirdest thing about entering expansion for us, is we just don't feel that. Like, there's not the big out with the old, in with the new of any degree. So it's very easy to be like, oh, Final Fantasy 14 is this timeless game. No, we've absolutely seen trailers for all the abilities having new animations, or them getting rid of whatever it was on Samurai that people are still mad about, and I have no idea what they're talking about. It was some sort of filler, like energy. I have too much energy, so if it was an energy sink, I do actually kind of miss it, because I have way too much kinky, I think it's called. Way too much energy.
You're too kinky?
Yeah, way too kinky. Dude, you hit this level, and I think one of your passives is like, you now get 10 energy instead of 5, and you just have so damn much of this expendable resource. You're just slamming that button all the time.
I wish I had that problem with the Dark Knight. I'm always out of MP.
I don't want to be there. I like where I'm at.
I'm always hovering at 3,000 because I got to make sure I have enough for Blackest Night.
That has no meaning to me, but I'm sad for your troubles.
Sad for my hover.
Yeah.
My hoverage. Yeah, man. This was cool. So, like, how did it land for you? Did you enjoy it? Did Shadowbringers live up to the hype? The entering of it?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I like the main setting.
Kind of like top of the show. Let's go spoiler free, because we're gonna do a deep dive video. So this is just impressions.
Yeah, I like where things are going. I like the plot. I like the atmosphere. I like the exchange they're doing. I mean, obviously, from the outside, you might even be aware that we're changing up how you might be using your powers in terms of story. It's something that I really like. One of my favorite things to do to my players as the second campaign is the "you're now too good" storyline. I love doing it. It's so much fun, because you have this whole book of monsters, behind me, all my D&D books. You got all these monsters, and they're like lawful good angels, and you're like, what the hell am I gonna do with this? Like, I don't like evil campaigns. I don't like a bunch of people being like, hey, let's all act really messed up. Like, no, it's the same thing we were talking about with KOTOR a little bit, right? Like, it's like, I need to torture people so I get more points. It's like, no, like, let's not sit around table and do that.
My Sith Warrior in SWTOR was the most evil thing I've ever played in a video game, and I had so much fun with it.
So what I often do in like a prolonged campaign, you do your big main arc, and like, you defeat the greatest bad in the universe. Usually kind of escalate to universe eventually. And then there's like the question you have with your players. You're like, do you want to keep playing? Do you all love these characters? Do you want to start something new? Do you want to keep playing? And oftentimes they say yes. And one of my favorite storylines to do is, well, now there is too much good in the universe, and the good guys are after you. Like, the angels are showing up and trying to kick your ass because you've created an imbalance, or it's not quite the same thing. But I love that plot line. I loved how edgy I felt as a teenager watching Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, I think it was, or maybe just in space, where they killed Zordon. Spoiler alert for Power Rangers in space. But there was too much good. The bad guy was so powerful in Power Rangers. It's a formative thing for me, so I'm going to talk about it like it's important, because it is. Like, the idea presented was that the bad guy in a yin and yang kind of universe was so powerful and undefeatable because there was too much good in the universe. So in order to actually defeat him, you had to kill Zordon to bring down the amount of good there was, so you could bring down his power level and kill him. And I love that shit. I think that's such a good plot line. And Red Ranger had to do it. Like, he had to strike down Zordon.
Oh man, AB cameras, just unforgivable sin. But
Longing-
Power Rangers,
Longing
high
camera shot
art.
on that mask.
Power Rangers is high art, but as long as it doesn't have AB cameras.
It went somewhere, man. It paid off. You know, my investment. Actually, I love Power Rangers in space because they lost like 50% of the time. I'm not talking about like it's such an edgy show, ooh, people die. Like
I don't think I watched past the second version.
Turbo was awful. Dino.
They went from dinosaurs to what do they go to after
I think it
dinosaurs?
was Cars. I think that was Turbo.
Whatever it was, I was out after that.
Yeah, no, Turbo was bad. I was watching some of that. Was it Netflix show that they made a Jurassic Camp or something? Cretaceous.
Oh, Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous.
Yeah, that's a weird show. But
Yeah,
I enjoyed
my brother
it.
was watching that last time I hung out with him, and that show's good, like weirdly good.
I mean, it's kind of funny to see like the influencer as like a character archetype, but welcome to a modern era.
Yeah,
I've got it here. Well, this is home media. Oh, this would just be video because I guess we had Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder, Mystic Force, Samurai. Where the hell is in space? Anyway, this isn't Shadowbringers related, so
shortly after the movie, I was out.
I'll put it away. I'll put it away.
Yeah. No, it's all good, man. It's all good. What I wanted to, what I was gonna say is that it kind of went the direction I expected, particularly more as we kept playing yesterday. Like the more we kept playing, the more I started thinking about the Shadowbringers going in the direction that it ended up going. So I wasn't horribly surprised, but it's so well executed. Oh my god! Like just the way that this game tells a story in its universe, and makes you and keeps you an integral part of it. It's very well done. It is very, very well done. Like, I guess to sell it, I don't know. Because I've had more people in my life, in my circle, checking this game out. And the ones that don't like it are not into how long it takes to like get through the story. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't really have a defense for that. Because to me, it's kind of what I'm enjoying. But I can see where if you think it's long on the tooth, that's just going to forever be a pain point. But...
yeah, that to me is a little bit of enjoy the journey. Like you got to take breaks. You got to just like that's what's satisfying about the game to me. It's something that John talked about for years on various shows that I enjoy that John Jagger does. Like you can't just say I'm going to get to endgame because the game has so many different activities. Like go play a sort of card game. It's Gwen would even be close to it. It's even more simple than that. But you can go play this card game. You can go craft. You can go explore. You can go level all the jobs on one character. And so when I start up Final Fantasy in the evening, whatever my burnout might be, whether I was doing like heavy editing that day or if I was reading a lot that day, what have you, if I just don't want to see people, like if I don't want to, do co-op content and be responsible for pools or healing or anything like that, I can find all these different little areas to chill and continue playing the game. And the story services that as well. Like as you advance through the story, there's more than enough times when it's like, go rest, hero. That's certainly a nice little time to actually take their advice and go rest. But for instance, in this new one, like you could just teleport right back. Like you were in the new expansion and it was like, here's the door. If you want to go back and just hang out in the original starting zone, like it still exists. It's still populated. It still has all the channels and everything else that you could go find and see people, playing their musical instruments. None of that old content gets discarded in that way. So the world constantly interests me because I have so much to do in there. Not like in a checklist kind of way. Like I can just chill in there and be. And when I go walk up and I like chill on a wall and I do my little emotes, I see people going by and I feel like I'm part of that world and I'm playing that D&D character in their campaign. And that's what I look for in an MMO. I found it sad over the years in World of Warcraft, when a new expansion come out, I would go, and I'm not even talking about like garrison extremes. I'm just talking like you get to the first major city, and now that's your life for that whole expansion. You now live there. And when I log in, I have my checklist of 2 things that I could be doing, and if I don't feel like doing it, I log back out. And there was a lot of times I found myself just logging back out in World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I mean, there's more than 2 things if you're into side stuff, just like there is in Final Fantasy, right? Like there's things that don't move you towards better gear for raiding or PvP purposes.
And I'm definitely talking about the leveling process, right? Like that is so abundantly important when a new expansion comes out for WoW, because that's where you're going to get the content. You got to get to the end of that leveling experience.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was rare time. Yeah, I probably could have gone and collected mounts and pets and done all this sort of personal stuff, but the world didn't feel populated in that way. When I went to go farm, when I weave through some distant expansions past looking for pets or something, rarely did I see other people enjoying that activity at the same time.
Yeah. No, that's fair, man. And that's where I think that like why I'm so intrigued and impressed with how 14 has kept so much of its game relevant regardless of what level you're playing at. Like whether you're current, whether you're leveling, like however much you want to dive into, there's just so much there to do. And I think it's poised to really strike for you and me because we love instanced content and all of it's relevant all the time, forever in Final Fantasy 14. You want to go do trials, you want to go do dungeons, you want to go do raids. You're always getting something out of it that is a little useful at worst, a lot useful at best. And it's just been so cool. Especially now that too, I'm like, a couple nights a week I've been jumping in Wrath Classic. Well, Wrath Classic pre-patch. Wrath Classic isn't properly out yet, but I'm working on my Death Knight and just seeing it feels so different. Like, God,
Sure.
I don't know. When I was learning how to tank, I was like, oh, okay, I'm seeing similarities between Final Fantasy 14 and World of Warcraft, tap targeting and how I tank and all that stuff. It's not wildly different, but the mentality, like me going, oh, I really want to play Final Fantasy 14. That feeling, that desire is completely different from me going, oh, I'm going to go work on my Death Knight. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm playing games in the same genre. Getting back to Wrath Classic, which I am having a good time with. It's kind of a zen, like a zone out game for me right now. As I just go in, I just level. I'm just running around Outland right now, just grinding, and that's fun because there's no reading. There is if you want it, but who the hell reads in World of Warcraft? I don't.
Very rarely, unless it kind of tantalized me. Like I can think of the majority of what was the undead troll area in northern Drac something or other, as they often are named.
Oh, in Northrend.
Northrend, yeah.
Zuldrak?
Was that it? Yeah, like I found myself reading a lot there.
Zuldrak.
In the Dragonblight, I found myself reading a lot. Like it depends on the zone entirely and if I have the interest. And I certainly feel like they're aware of it. No, it's there have been so many comparisons over the last year. I'm glad you and others seem to be finding this place where both games can exist because they're so different. Ultimately, the problem is that around the time of Shadowbringers, when Final Fantasy story got amazing for so many people, World of Warcraft also in a marketing way and books and everything else decided, oh yeah, we're a story game too. You come to us for the story. And we kind of went, not originally. If you got something to show us, I can get into it. And then they showed us what they got, and we kind of went, it didn't.
Yeah.
Really
Speaking generally, for you and me,
yeah,
I have plenty of friends who enjoy the direction WoW has gone, and that's fun. That's fine. The jam. It is subjective, but it wasn't for me. I used to really care about Warcraft story, and it really fell off a cliff for me in terms of my interest.
And so to me, it was a co-op game. Like at the end of the day, that was where my friends were, and I wanted to play co-op content. The story and that push, you often hear like, oh, it's taking developer time. Like, that's not true because they're often different teams, and teams are propped up or dismantled depending on where the effort is being placed during that cycle of production. But the story was not something I was there for. So the fact that Final Fantasy has the co-op content I'm looking for and a story that satisfies a Dragon Age need that I have that hasn't been fulfilled in a very long time, RPG story that actually makes sense. It's astral, absolutely, as video games go. Final Fantasy has always been kind of in that, like, the spirits and crystals kind of business, and I could make fun of crystal tech forever. Like, it's definitely a crutch in many ways. Certainly in D&D, if like your DM starts going about, there's a crystal, and you're like, oh no, how's this gonna work? Oh god,
why don't you just call it MacGuffin?
Yeah, right, exactly. But it's appealing that as well. Like, I love Divinity 2 Original Sin. Story sucked. Like, it was well voice acted. The narrator was such a cool idea to give it this DM feel. It was the best 4-player, like, co-op, XCOM-y, pause-y, turn-based combat I've ever played. And I loved all 140 hours we as a crew put into that game. But man, did it not pay off, and it was unsatisfying.
I never finished it because I didn't have a group to play with. I was like, I got in because I was really excited because I heard good things, and I'm like, this is a really impressive system. Boy, does that game suck to play alone.
Because the story sucks, right? It's the nature of the beast. Like, that's like saying, hey, go play Vermintide for the story. It's, well, no,
I'm all right. Yeah,
really.
no. Final Fantasy is someone in chat. It went by. It was like, how would current Garrett pitch Final Fantasy to past Garrett? You know, as someone who's kind of done a 180 on it, and it's like, I think for me, I would tell someone that, well, to pass me, because I know what pass me values. It's the highest quality 50-50 split between story in an MMO and MMO gameplay, like classic MMO gameplay. And for me, classic MMO gameplay is tab targeting and boss mechanics. And I think it's easy. I didn't really realize how good and how wide the breadth of instance content was in Final Fantasy 14 until we, a few weeks ago did Shinryu Extreme. When we did that, I was like, oh shit, Final Fantasy 14's got hands. Like, they have real true challenges to throw at me. Because for me, I was aware of the other things that people come to Final Fantasy 14 for. This is a metaverse for a lot of people. A lot of people, this is their social virtual space that they go to hang out in. They go to show off. They go to flex. They go to hang out with their friends. Like that's been a thing for WoW for me in the past. It's a thing for Fortnite for a shit ton of players right now. But Final Fantasy 14 has that too, and I already kind of knew and understood that. I knew that people just think everything's gorgeous or pretty or hot or thirsty or whatever. There's a million different reasons you might come to this game, but and I knew people were interested in the story, and I was just like, I don't know if I care or not, because I have no frame of reference. But the story did really get its hooks in me at a time where another MMO that I used to care about the story was falling off for me personally. And then once I found out that gameplay content was there at a level that excites and challenges me, that's when, like, I think I talked about on stream last night. I think I really liked the game for the whole time I've been doing this. But after Shinryu Extreme, I officially love the game.
There's a cadence of the trailers and marketing materials that is very different for Final Fantasy. Like, from the outside, you see the king stand up in a robe and be like, we'll all be destroyed by the threat, and you're like, and then the camera does like this, and like then it flies across the world, and there's like a giant bee attacking a city, and you're just like, what am I buying? What? You
would need some level of buy-in.
Yeah.
You need some level of understanding of pre-knowledge, I think, to get a lot out of these cinematics. And
to understand them as like an advertisement vessel for you to look at like a Shadowbringers trailer appear on your television and be like, I want to play that. You have no frame of reference for what's cool, what's going on. So I think there is some difficulty. And then A Realm Reborn, when you first get in the game, hits you with Fellowship of the Rings. Like Hobbit level quests, which you appreciate Fellowship of the Ring more when you've seen Return of the King. And like,
that's a really good way to put it.
Polyphons are exploding all the time, and you're like, "Wow, how do we get here? This is a little nuts."
How do we do it? And then at the end of it, you love the characters, so you can't wait to go back to Fellowship so that you can see them at peace,
right?
And you can see their friendships in the budding stage. And yeah, no, well said, man. Well freaking said. Yeah, yeah, no. And at the risk of skipping ourselves, because we're going to do eventually a video dedicated to the Shadowbringers cinematic. That cinematic, I think, is a really good example of what I'm talking about. How like you need pre-knowledge to, I think, really get something out of these advertising pieces of media for Final Fantasy 14. And that one, I think, is a really good 50-50 split, where if you're really into the story, there's a lot there for the story. But if you're also just kind of into the gameplay side of things and like the fact that this game in an MMO, and part of what's unique about it, just allows you to switch what class you are at the drop of a hat, that's a part of the cinematic. So like half of that cinematic is just hype for the gameplay of the game. And but you still need to know about that, because I didn't understand. I'd like someone at one point in a passing comment was like, it doesn't really matter what you play. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to play this game, so I don't care. Thanks for telling me. Like I didn't absorb it. But now that I get it, I really enjoyed that cinematic. And now I understand it. Now I understand why there's so much excitement for that piece of media, because I now have experienced enough of the game to get something out of it. So it's interesting. I love thinking about why I was so closed off to this game. I love thinking about like why seeing this game from the outside did not intrigue me, and why I'm having so much fun with it now. And I like thinking about that disconnect. And I think the easy explanation is, at the end of the day, the game is a slow burn, and I don't think there's any way around it. But I think if you come to it when you're ready to take on a slow burn, I think you're gonna have a good time.
Very true. I think in the end, we often over villainize this particular aspect of WoW because they went for that story part of it. And that's why we're always making comparisons, right? Like for me, it was the horn from, was it Hades? Not Hades that Sylvanas got a hold of, but she got the horn of Helia. Helia's horn.
Oh, was it a horn? I don't remember.
And she was going to be like in control of the Valkyries maybe because of that, but it never clearly connected for me. And with Final Fantasy, it was something I tried in 2018 and fell off because the promises weren't fulfilled yet. Like it was one piecing at the time, if you will. Like this was a game that was claiming, I'm going to go forever. And you go, okay. Can I watch like one episode? And people are like, yeah, sure. Okay, so you're gonna do 1 through 10 because you got to have that for One Piece, but then skip to 50 because like everything in between. I don't actually know episode numbers.
Do not quote these numbers.
But do 50 through 56, and then like people will tell you go watch Sword Art Online, but stop at like episode 16, and it's true. Like just stop. I think it's more like 8 or something, but like just put it away and just be done and walk away for good. When Shadowbringers came out and John was like, it's really good, you need to play it. It wasn't until Endwalker came out and it was like, hey, they finished their story, that I went, is it good? And they went, yes. And I can go, okay, I can invest. Because of Game of Thrones, because of World of Warcraft. Like, we had a lot of properties. Even Marvel, to me, is doing a lot of this. Like, I'm having trouble following their 5th phase, how this works. It always kind of bothers me when, like, Batman's working really hard and Superman could be right there, like, blowing this all up and saving the day. So when you start multiversing your heroes, I kind of go, wow.
Well, at least they killed off some of their major heroes. Like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
Like a lot of the big players, you're just like, okay, well, I mean, they're literally gone.
Yeah, there's room in the world for.
Yeah, some of the newer, more powerful ones, they are powerful at a cosmic level. So the universe is a large place. So you're like, yeah, they're probably busy with space war. Like, I think they've done an okay job with that. Like, I don't think post Endgame MCU has a very. I don't think it has a lot of identity. Like, it has a really nebulous through line. Like, I really don't know what we're hurtling towards, other than I looked at a logo wall and I know what movies are coming out. But it's fine. I am enjoying individual entries in that way. So, like, to me, like, I don't need to have that much trust if I'm enjoying the piecemeal that's coming out. But I see where you're coming from. Point is, it's a major milestone in our journey through this game, and the game keeps living up to the hype, I guess, is the point.
And it's that potential that makes that new city we walked into interesting. Because what could happen here? What is on the horizon? And for me, it's the verification that everything I see can be important, right? Like Sylvanas' Horn of Helia, you start to go, well, I'm not going to pay too much attention. And then you slowly lose interest because you start not paying attention. Like I'm
It was a
still.
lantern, by the way.
Was it a lantern that she
I
got?
think it was a lantern.
All the sweeter. Like, sweet. You did it.
I think she needed to. I think she needed better control of the Valkyrie because she wanted to create new Forsaken because their numbers were dwindling because they weren't able to reproduce, which was interesting. But then
That's
they
an
didn't really
interesting idea.
They didn't do much with it.
I thought she was like summoning death artifacts, and that's why she was able to like break the crown, the ice crown. But like that didn't really seem connected.
That's a pretty big jump. The lantern was in Legion, and now you're in the beginning
Well,
of Shadowlands.
that's something else I can just the time of payoff being too far and extreme, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, I'll never forgive them for like starting to make Jaina interesting, and then like 2 expansions with just no Jaina.
Yeah.
It's like wait, what? I'm sorry. Did we forget about Jaina wanting to like murder the whole horde? That was really interesting. Why are we okay? We're not gonna do anything with. Okay,
I'm not being contrarian. Like I really believe like it was there. It was almost there in BFA. Like early BFA, they were moving those cogs. Finally, they were finally starting to address. Jaina was really.
I enjoyed more of BFA than I didn't. I think BFA gets a bit of a bum rap. I do not think Shadowlands gets a bum rap. I really just horribly disappointed by the expansion.
While we're kind of in the conversation, did you check out Guild Wars that just went up on Steam? I guess so. There's a big surge of Guild Warsery.
How many hours do you think I have in a week?
Well, enough to be interested in Disney Dreamlight Valley. So
I checked out Guild Wars 2 when it originally released. That's the last time I checked out Guild Wars 2.
Okay.
Guild Wars 1 was my first. I use MMO with heavy quotations because Guild Wars 1 is not an MMO. But I did play Guild Wars 1 before I played World of Warcraft. So yeah, I see Guild Wars 2 is having a big moment right now, and I've never heard a bad thing about Guild Wars 2.
No,
everyone I know that plays it loves it.
Yeah, there's a lot of transition there from WildStar players. I think because of the dodgy active mechanics they were adding during that cycle of things, right? Like oftentimes in any gaming property, but certainly World of Warcraft, you can see kind of what the pet project was of the team and what they were trying to invest in. Same with Final Fantasy as well. We're going through it at a different pace. Like we artificially played patch to patch through Stormblood, but you really can't capture like they were trying to figure out that spin mechanic thing we saw last night. How's that gonna through line through? That's just because I find game design fascinating.
It's just very good boss fights in 14. So, but yeah, I'm having a good time with it. I'm looking forward to moving forward. But we got some content to make before we do that.
Definitely
got some videos to put together. But yeah, I would expect we'll probably keep talking about Final Fantasy on the show. So when we do, you'll hear that lovely bumper I really just spent so much time on. Really? You want to wrap things up with a question or two?
Absolutely.
Hello there. Hello there. Hello there.
Feedback at startgrindinggear.com is where you can send your emails if you want to, ask a question, get it on the show, or if you are supporting us, whether it is on our Patreon or over on our, if you're a YouTube member, you have access to the member and Patreon only chat channels in our Discord, and there's a dedicated channel for questions in there. Kendrick, gonna start us off today, says, wants to know, do you feel like the big community gatherings, like this is a all our questions are Final Fantasy 14 related today, by the way.
Sure. We just did that big stream, so understandable.
Figure we would just, kind of weight this one in a fantasy direction. But wants to know if we feel that the big community gatherings, like people at the Rising Sands or chasing us around the Crystarium, are impacting our enjoyment of the story at all. Kendrick says, I know you said that it adds to the overall experience of the game, and I definitely get that, but I wonder if it makes it harder to enjoy the story parts because there's always so many people crowding around stuff. Usually when the big important story bits are going off, you're in a instanced area anyway.
Right. That was my complaint with some. We most games kind of moved into cinematics. Back in the day, a lot of MMOs were trying to keep the open world going, and you would have, someone teabagging Thrall while you were talking to him, and it was very upsetting. But in any sort of
things that people did to Baby Anduin, I'll never forgive you. I'll never forgive you.
The game does take you to a special location whenever you are doing kind of special Warrior of Light or story thing. So I've never felt like I've had to tell people to stop. I did become slightly nervous actually, during that very test stream we talked about earlier, because I had my bit rate up. We'd fixed my driver, so I wanted to load my machine. Like every time I was in Limsa, we would crash because that driver was bad on my Ethernet port. So I was like, come on, let's do it. Like, everybody start casting spells. Go, go, go. And I was, I was egging them on. I was being like, okay, we're streaming at 7,000 bits, 7,000, 8,000 bits, 9,000, 9,000, 10,000. Let's push it. More and more spell effects. And someone's like, hey, you can get banned for this. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Because, like, if you were playing on your home computer and you walk in a Limsa and there's like, and someone's like, wow, and then like blue
Someone's
screen.
just trying to craft.
Yeah.
And you're out there dropping them to a slideshow.
Exactly. That's the only time I've become really nervous about any sort of gathering we've done. Otherwise, they're so much fun. I don't know, like in our Discord, people were posting from last night pictures where everyone had loaded. Maybe they were using what's the camera app inside the game? What's the G pose? Is it
I think
posing?
it's G pose.
Posing?
Is it G pose?
Yeah, it was posing. Maybe they were using that to capture more loaded people than normal. But like last night when we entered the city, there was a line of players all the way from where we spawned to the initial crystal. And that's a long way. That's a lot of players. Like, it's so many people.
But on
were
our
there.
screens with the character limits, it only looked like they went out a couple yards. And then as you walked, more people would load in. I didn't know there was a way to see more people.
Yeah, someone captured the full line.
So maybe don't maybe don't out them. Maybe
I'm not gonna say their name. Maybe it is a secondary something that allows you to load more. I don't know if that would affect the server, so that might be. I don't see how it'd be malicious, but I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah. So there are character limits on our screens as the streamer to even see everybody gathered, which understandable. This game is very, very, very concerned about server load. And I think it's a very polite thing for them to do. Like, they kick you out of instances if you're in there for over 10 minutes when it's over, if you're hanging out in one doing a raid for over an hour. Like, there's forced rest in some way there, but it's also just a heavy concern about their player base and that polite atmosphere of, hey, don't take this for yourself. Please leave and come back. For everyone's sake.
Yeah. But yeah, to answer the question, no, I think it's pretty damn charming when folks are hanging out. It doesn't bother me all that much. Because like I said, like the really big stuff, like there was some really big stuff last night where we were instanced into essentially an outpost. Yeah. And yeah, it was just me. It was just me and my main story characters. So anytime I feel like it would be intrusive, I feel like the game kind of covers it.
And like that lived-in thing I was talking about earlier, when I log in, at midnight, when everyone's abed, I go to my inn, I start my inventory, I wander around town, I watch the Bard show. Like, it adds to the flavor. So that's like the streamer world that I'm a part of. But oftentimes when I'm just chilling, like, I see some people in the free company house, people pass me, they give me a wave. Like, that's fun. But it's not a constant experience because I have so many different experiences inside the game. No one's tagging along or being like, hey, what are you up to, Kyle? As I fly by and I'm doing, level 4 hunting quests to level up, my new job I got.
Yeah. I'm totally fine with it. I think it's fun. Arathane wants to know, said, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the Evil East raids as a whole now that you're done with them. Is that going to be an upcoming video, or should I just ask you in a stream? Well, it's here, which is a bit of a hat tip already.
Well, we made a video about Evil East and how we thought the raid design took a huge jump up.
Yeah.
And that I think
that was based on that was based off the first wing.
So things advanced past that. Like, time passed. I think it was a steady improvement through with really interesting mechanics. But to me, that video kind of encapsulates what I found interesting about Evil East, which was the raid design and its advancements from Heaven's Ward.
Yeah. However, we did have a talk because we thought we were going to do another video for Evil East, to show you how the sausage is made. But then we kind of decided against it, and came down to we didn't really like the story.
It was long. It was perhaps the biggest example of being inside the fandom with the Final Fantasy Tactics kind of tie-in. At no point was it uninteresting. And I really like the exchange that you would have as a player of, let's do this wing. Everyone get ready. Go do your solo quest. Go, put on your glams. All the sort of setup stuff I love about, getting your potions ready for raid night kind of stuff. All that kind of story quest thing would be quite fun. But as for what the story told or encapsulated, it didn't go far enough for me to want to report on it. Like I would have loved if that play was more tongue in cheek. Like it would have been more like the play in Avatar Last Airbender was, right? Where they really up the production value. I got important moon business to do. Like just like lay into yourself about what you just made. But it stayed pretty self-serious, and as such, there wasn't really much to talk about. It was an experience.
Yeah, I'll level with you. So far, my least favorite characters in all of Final Fantasy XIV. I think they're highly unlikable and uninteresting. If I'm going to be honest about how I'm feeling about it, and when I kind of came to that realization, I was like, I don't think I want to make a video about that. I don't think I want to, because we already made a video talking about how awesome the raid was, and we could make another video talking about how much we enjoyed the mechanics and the fights and the scenery of the other two wings. But it started to just, the more we kind of tried to mold that ball of clay, the more it felt like a repeat of the first video. Even though it was about additional content, it kind of felt like a retread. Because we were like, we expected we would layer on a story conversation in there. And if we had gone down that road, it probably would have been me explaining why I really don't care for the story of Evilise.
Well, and the raids were really fun, but we covered that in the first video. Is ultimately kind of the through line there. There may be a day where we revisit it, perhaps to compare it to others, or if we ever do a wall of raids, that'd be really fun to crunch up those bosses and see what they're each made of. I think it was a really fun design. I had a lot of fun on the streams.
Yeah. That too, our teams were too good. We didn't struggle enough with the bosses, so I personally don't feel like I have a very good understanding of the fights.
Yeah.
Which that's hard to like control. We don't know. We don't do any, for the sake of the stream. We try and keep it going, and we just throw teams together and go. But this is the first time all this kind of came around, where I was like, oh, I don't know the fights well enough to speak to them. I don't feel knowledgeable enough, and story really kind of left me wanting.
Should we throw more?
Definitely not for more story. Chat? Sorry, what was that?
Should we throw more often, says chat? No, like that's the fascinating thing about some of the raid design, and I see a lot in the chat like healers carried, and they did. But that's also what they're there to do. So like when the healers are amazing, you don't lose because they're like limit breaking at the right time or rezzing a lot, and that means other aspects are going well at the same time. Like the DPS aren't being hit so much that the healers can't take the time to res scrubs like us in there. So everything is interwoven in that way. The tank's doing well, so the healers are healing less, so you have time to res the people like us who are dying a lot to mechanics they don't understand. And there's an energy and through line that allows the co-op game experience, particularly in a 24-man raid, to keep going. Like, you don't want to take 24 people and frustrate them. That's going to be a bad time.
Yeah.
You have 24 chances for someone to crack and ruin it for everybody else.
Yeah. You can't, but we wouldn't, even if you could, do like pug nights for like extreme 24-mans. So it's not something I would want to really do. But yeah, like to clarify, like I feel we've definitely been carrying in other fights, but I still feel like I left knowing why I died and had to get rezzed. But there were multiple times, especially in the final two wings, where I died and I was just like, I don't know. We cleared it, but I have no idea what the hell just happened.
There's also the King of Thundery Tail Smacks, whatever. Was he named Sid? Like King Sid or something along those lines?
Oh, you're talking about the Thunder God?
Yeah, the Thunder Dude.
Yes.
Yeah. Where like
that fight was awesome, and I understood very little of it.
Right, but it was understandable in the visual sense. Like, I will now slam here. This will now explode here. I'm going to spin here. I'm going to take you all to an awesome dimension and fight you there for a little bit. All that was understandable, but we didn't understand the nitty gritty of it to dissect it as anything more than that was cool.
Yeah.
So That was cool. Oh, that's the video. That's the video. It was really cool. It was really cool. I got no hate for Evilise.
Yeah, no, not at all. If I run it more and I start to understand the nuance better, I never say never do a future video by any means. But where it fell in our current content calendar, we just kind of felt like it'd be too much of a retread, and we would probably avoid talking about the story because we don't want to focus on something that we didn't have a particularly great time with. So yeah, there you go, our thing. And then closing us out, Baggins Wolf asked actually in chat, wanted to know, said, hey, Garrett, I know you've mentioned playing some older Final Fantasy games. Are you planning on streaming any of that? And how old do you plan to go? The thought has come to my mind many times that if I go to play other Final Fantasy games, maybe I should probably consider streaming that, because it sounds like there might be some crossover interest with our audience.
Sure. Makes sense.
Which is why I haven't really started. I barely cracked the surface of Final Fantasy 12. That was gifted to me by a personal friend who just showed up. A Switch copy just showed up in my mail, like no warning. I'm like, who sent me this? And I found out who. So I barely scratched the surface of that, and I really like the look of it, and already kind of am digging on the story and the characters. I find the combat weird as hell. Because it's kind of tab targety, but it's a single player game.
Tactics?
It's weird. No, Final Fantasy 12.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're in like
this is
hybrid.
Also an Evilise. Don't get confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, because
Okay.
Tactics is Evilise and 12 is Evilise.
Okay.
But
yeah, that's that weird hybrid time period after 10 they went for, which I feel like lots of people have enjoyed in the redone 7. I've been hearing good things from those.
Oh,
people.
yeah. It looks good. I want to play that on the PS5 on my big TV. If I stream that, I'm going to have to figure out how to stream from my living room because I want to play that on the couch. That thing looks gorgeous.
Get all set up.
And yeah. I have the most interest in revisiting 10 because it was the only one I played and I didn't beat it. And I'm kind of in the mood for a turn base. So 10's the one I want to go play the most right now. Because it's like the one that got away.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So, yeah.
I hear a lot of jumping on 10, but I think it was the most popular version. I mean, this is like, someone say it's probably kind of more along the lines of saying like, oh, I'm so excited for Captain America, and someone being like, well, you didn't read the old comics or watch the old movies, so you don't get to enjoy the new one. So these might not be good opinions that I've digested, but 10 often has this weird stigma because people like it, but it wasn't the Final Fantasy that people want to have elevated as the one that people played the most.
That's fair. I don't really know where I would draw a line on the old stuff. I am not against sprite-based graphics at all. I really like sprites. I grew up. I'm of the age where sprite-based games were the first things I ever freaking played. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of open to whatever. My personal interest right now, I'd like to see 10 through because I have a history with it, but I never beat it.
I've seen people play the older Final Fantasy games with like speed or auto battling. That seems kind of fun. I don't know if that's emulator kind of stuff that they're doing to the game on top of it. But
Final Fantasy 12 on Switch has a speed up built in. There's just a dedicated button to just like run at double speed.
I think that sounds, if I wanted to go through the old games, that would be very, very helpful, particularly if I'm having to grind out a few levels, if they can just auto battle that for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just with a passage of time. Like,
I don't think I'd want auto battle on for the whole time. I think I'd like to do boss fights and whatnot,
but
myself.
Sensibilities change. And we're also, adults. So like when you own a game, you don't 100% it because that's your game and love it or else you get nothing. If we don't like a game like God of War, I paid full price for God of War and then I beat it and I said, I'm done because I had other things to play.
There's more to do, but you don't have to. You don't have to. Yeah, the only game I've 100%ed in recent memory is the new Spider-Man game, just because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah,
Other than that,
I
can't remember.
Often.
I cannot remember the last time I 100%ed a game.
I saw a mod where someone put in Shrek, so you could swing around as Shrek.
Oh, people have been modding the living shit out of the game now that it's on PC. The
really
one I
good.
saw was Kermit, which was
Kermit?
really funny.
That's good.
Yeah, like Muppet body with like the flat elbows.
Yeah.
Kermit. Yeah, it looked hilarious.
I would. Yeah. I'll beat it first if I ever play it because I want to. Actually, currently, I'm debating whether or not it's something. I know it's a little more dark. I don't know how hard it goes. Like if it's, I haven't looked up the rating yet, but I'm kind of like, ooh, I could. My my son got super into Spider-Man, so I could web swing in front of him, like let him press buttons. Like that might be a fun dad thing to do.
Trying to think.
Eyeing that.
Trying to think if there's stuff in it that's scary.
Is Venom in it? Is Venom?
No, he was the teaser for the next one.
Is that one not out yet?
No.
Okay.
It's like, I think it's 2. Is it Spider-Man 2? Isn't that what they're calling it? But Miles and Peter are both in it. And if you go watch the trailer, the teaser is Venom.
Man. That's the one that's like the good spooky right now in the house because he'll be like, Venom! But then he'll just watch it. Like he freaking loves Venom. I mean, I don't blame him, man. That's
That was me and Aliens as a kid, man. I saw Alien way
I'll
too
pass
young,
on that for a few years, yeah.
but I loved it.
Yeah.
I saw Alien when I was 7 and Alien shortly after. Like it was the first thing. It was the first time in my entire life I felt scared, but I liked what I was watching.
Yeah.
It's the first time I ever understood that you could enjoy being scared. But oh shit, man, that thing scarred me. I had nightmares. Don't do. Even I think I turned out okay. Don't show your 7-year-old.
No, I'm not going to. No. The 80s was a time.
I wouldn't recommend it.
And I think too, just the practical effects of things were just more scary back then.
I agree.
There was a realness to all that KY jelly on the thing that just was different.
The thing, I think still has some of the most terrifying, grotesque effects I've ever seen in anything, and it's practical. Not to say that, the war against CG annoys me. I'm like, no. There's good CG, there's bad CG, and there's everything in between.
Right. I mean, I rewatched Fellowship of the Ring this week because I was like, well, I just don't like the first episode. Let's go watch Fellowship of the Ring for a bit. And like the cave, Moria, looking a little rough, honestly.
Yeah, Moria looks a little. I think the Balrog still looks really good.
The Balrog does look fire, plastics. Like I watched Batman Lego this week. Holy shit, that's beautiful.
Yeah, dude, the Lego movies are fantastic.
That's all CG. I was so sad there was no stop motion because they do such a good job in capturing that pacing. But man, that was like honestly one of the most beautiful movies I've seen in years.
So well done. Did you see the first one, the actual just Lego movie?
Yeah, well, everything is awesome and all that sort of thing. Yeah,
it was fun as hell, man. It's a good movie. Lego Batman, I forgot about that. I really like that movie. It's funny as hell.
It's got some good jokes.
Yeah, if you like that, you would like. I think you'd like the first season of Harley Quinn if you like Lego Batman. It's similar sense of humor, even though Harley Quinn is like very much R-rated.
We'll see. Castlevania was also overhyped for me. I need to like give that a few years because like I tried to watch
that was
it.
Good.
And it's just like I'm gonna drop the F-bomb. I'm so edgy. I'm like, wait. To me,
it's so
it was like
good.
watching Critical Role with too many F-bombs, and I was just like, I'm
so
a little
good.
I'm like,
it's so good.
I came in. I'm a ship vampire, and I'm gonna say the F word.
Good.
And then I'm gonna.
Oh, you're wrong.
But I'm in love with you. But I drink blood because I'm sad. Like I just give me some time.
Oh, it's the best.
This
It's
happens.
the best emo media of the last 5 years.
This
it's
happens.
amazing.
I excitedly showed Kristen The Fifth Element in college, but it had been built up for years and years, and it couldn't deliver. These things happen.
I used to be like, okay, that makes sense. But now that I've been friends with you for so long, you get overwarped by the smallest, most pathetic amount of hype.
That is why I'm off Twitter. I don't want to be warped. That's why I don't do it anymore.
If anything, if like you could, the person leaving a movie theater could be like, I liked that. You'd be like, oh, I'm not seeing that now.
And then we entered the spoiler verse where instead of saying what you're talking about, you just like at 11 p.m. you tweet out, oh my God, that was great. And I'm just like, oh, what? What? I'm supposed to be like in the know and watching all the TV.
It's the point of Twitter.
I hate it. Can't
then
do
go
it.
to Facebook.
Build me a
Grandpa.
drop. Build me a drop. The Kyle hates Twitter drop. Each show.
Just
my
go
segment.
to Facebook.
We're
Grandpa.
still in the same question. We could do another.
Not even on Facebook. Anyways. Yeah, I'll probably play some old Final Fantasy games and I'll probably stream them. That will probably not happen until next year.
Yeah, we got jobs to level. If we didn't,
I-
that'd be good content while I'm gone. On baby
I just
leave.
registered for my graduation day, Kyle. I'm going to go graduate. I'm going to
Yeah.
actually show up and like put on a cap.
Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah. I'm only 3 hours away. I figured
shake
why not?
some hands.
Yeah. I need to put this to bed. I need to watch I need to watch school be lowered into the ground.
Don't
I
blame me.
need closure. This has been a couple years. So, yeah. Anywho. I need to pause real quick. I'm sorry. I've meant to add a thing and I didn't add a thing. Just let me add a thing.
Oh,
How you doing, chat?
well, they can enjoy the VOD. Will have this. Hi, VOD. See you in a moment.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to an end. Thank you again so much for listening, everybody. Huge, big shout out to our badass patrons supporting us on Patreon. You can go there by visiting supportourbromance.com. Yes, that is a domain I purchased and forwarded to our Patreon. If you're like, I don't trust that, it's patreon.com/Garrett and Kyle. It's, if you're one of those, but supportourbromance.com. Go check it out. Also, thank you to our recent patrons. You got some music for me, Kyle, to play us out?
I do.
You gonna play us out? Oh, there it is. If you went up and signed over to support us on our Patreon, we cannot thank you enough. But if you signed up this week, we will thank you by name. So, QQCot, thank you for becoming a patron.
Sam N. Thank you.
Sarah, no last name given, just Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
Trisha R.
Thanks, Trisha. That was rad. And Nathan H.
Thank you,
We
Nathan.
appreciate it. Thanks for signing up this week. And of course, there's a very special level of patrons that we thank each and every episode, our legendary level backers. Thank you, Sean B, Mike R, Zero Lambda, Stephen J, Ross A, and Wyra E. We really appreciate it. If you want to support us, the Patreon is the best way to do so. So supportourbromance.com. Go check that out. And yeah, we've got plenty of levels with various perks for you. And we're going to get together after the show and have a little spoiler chat about Rings of Power and throw that up for patrons. So before we go, you can find me on Twitter at GarrettArt. Kyle is at Kyle Ferguson, and you can follow the account for all of our content at Garrett and Kyle. That's right. That's a real Twitter. You can go follow right now. But of course, subscribe to youtube.com/AMoveTV to see our main YouTube channel. We live stream the podcast there. We do our live streams for Final Fantasy XIV there, and we have new uploads every Wednesday. Links to everything are on there. Just go to youtube.com/AMoveTV. So, anywho, we will see you next Thursday. Are we getting close enough that I need to start warning that unless a child is born, we
No.
will see you next Thursday?
No, we have we have nine weeks before we got to start giving those warnings. So
9 weeks, of leeway.
Yes.
9 weeks of
yeah,
leeway.
but we will let you know.
Wondrous.
We'll let you know.
Wonder. That's going to be here so fast. I feel
Yeah,
like it's
oh
so
yeah.
far
No,
away,
it's
but it's
booked.
not.
It's booked.
It is not. Oh, yeah. Anyways, until next time, everybody. GG.
Take care.
Yeah.